it behind. Victory is mine!
You know, sometimes video game characters are action figures.
Next, Pokemon are burning with flame power.
Kano on the combat cycle.
There's Guile, Ryu, Zangief, Blanca, and Dhalsim! What's a Dhalsim?
And Omega Force knows this better than most, I think. Their specific approach to real-life historical figures across their Dynasty and Samurai Warriors games is absolutely action figures. These games base their characters on a real person, give them cool outfits and a sick-looking weapon, and put them in scenarios where they can mow down thousands and be the coolest, strongest guy. And it rules. The style of play is largely elevated in these games by narrative and historical context, RPG-esque character progression, and additional objectives and the like in individual missions. You're not strictly doing the same thing at all times in Musou titles, but any flavor here is very much to grease the wheels of the power fantasy machine and keep the player having fun with their action figures. To continue my hack analogy here, the sister series that are Dynasty and Samurai Warriors are like separate toy boxes, forever cordoned off by the historical context of their fiction. But anyone who's ever spent any time playing with toys as a kid knows you can always get every action figure you got in on the game, you just gotta come up with the right story. Knowing this, Omega Force cooked up a brand new fantasy tale steeped in mythology, an all-powerful warrior that can manipulate the very fabric of reality, who wants nothing more than to battle the strongest warriors across time. Grab those action figures and get ready to smash them together because, buddy, we got a crossover on our hands. Warriors Orochi got its start on the PS2 back in 2007, with a follow-up, Warriors Orochi 2, coming the following year for that same platform. Even with the cross-generational Xbox 360 releases, Orochi 1 and 2 feel like the Greater Warriors series' last hurrah on the PS2. They're a great pair of hack and slashers for the system, and come highly recommended to anyone looking for PS2-era Musou action. Our focus here today, however, is on the third entry, specifically Warriors Orochi 3 Ultimate, an updated re-release of the 2011 original and the version you'll find on most modern platforms, with the Steam version I'm playing here today including basically all the DLC released for the game as the Definitive Edition. While you can have a great time with any version of Warriors Orochi 3, it is this Definitive Edition specifically that I am recommending and referring to when discussing what all is included here. Orochi 3 sees the player taking control of a tag team of 3 superpowered warriors, most of which are based on historical figures, and hacking their way through a battlefield as they complete objectives and defeat enemy officers to help their army win the day. As a crossover series, Warriors Orochi exists to smash together the casts of Dynasty and Samurai Warriors, which take place during Three Kingdoms China and Sengoku Jidai Japan, respectively. Those first two titles tell the story of the Serpent King Orochi, and how he fused those two time periods together into a new reality, where he can battle history's greatest warriors for his own amusement. Orochi is ultimately defeated by the end of that second game, but his manipulation of time and space is not undone, leaving our cast of characters to find a way to coexist in this new world they found themselves in. It is here that the story of the third game picks up. Orochi is gone, but oh no. A massive Hydra attacks the warriors out of nowhere alongside the remnants of Orochi's demon forces, wiping out most of the cast in a series of surprise attacks. The very first stage of the game follows the last 3 survivors during their final stand against this new threat. Just as it seems all is lost, the heroes are saved by the mystic Kaguya. Kaguya wields a special power and can use the memories of others to travel through time. With this ability, our protagonists can go back to before their allies were caught off guard and recruit them for a proper battle against the Hydra. Hopefully, with their might combined, they'll stand a fighting chance against the beast, and who's to say there's not greater threats looming beyond that final battle. Stages in Warriors Orochi 3 take place on a timeline, with most resulting in at least a few new playable characters joining your cause on first completion. As more warriors are recruited, their memories, combined with Kaguya's time travel ability, give access to more stages, and that becomes how we progress in story mode. This is a very satisfying gameplay loop. There's a staggering 145 playable characters in this game, and something like 80 plus story mode stages, including the DLC ones present in the Definitive Edition. You're always unlocking new stuff, and the general theme of the story, of humanity banding together across time to fight this greater threat, gives the actual act of playing out these stages and saving these characters some extra weight. Right as all hope seems lost, we get to show up to save the day, and there are some genuinely touching moments that come about as characters are able to go back in time to save family members or close friends they've previously had to watch fall in battle. Saving characters can also result in redux versions of earlier stages that play out differently as a result of our intervening in past events, which is a neat way to get even more play out of what stages are already here. There are additional modes outside of the story, and we'll loop back around to them, but I'd like to pivot to gameplay for now so we can talk about why unlocking characters is so exciting. Characters in Warriors Orochi 3 control with the same basic jump, block, and normal attack strings, with heavy attack combo enders. Every character also has a Musou gauge that can be spent on superpowered Musou attacks or special attacks of both the grounded and airborne variety. The player enters the stage with 3 characters and can swap between them on the fly, with inactive fighters restoring health and Musou. It's game over if you lose even a single character, so managing warrior health is important, especially early on. Characters can be tagged between mid-combo for a small amount of Musou bar, and there's even special unique tag combos for specific team comps, reserved for characters that have relationships with each other or fit a specific theme. These things are super cool, but any team comp has access to the true triple attack gauge. Once filled, this can be cashed in for a giant attack that sucks up everyone the player touches into a huge explosion once activated. As mentioned before, the character roster is absolutely massive, and while the Musou series trademark light attack string with heavy attack combo enders and Musou super moves framework applies across the cast, these warriors are differentiated in several key ways. Characters from Dynasty Warriors, for instance, all have a very similar 6 attack string combo layout, each with an extra heavy attack extension called an EX attack that varies in combo timing from character to character. Dynasty Musou attacks also play out as a single attack animation, similar to a fighting game super move. Meanwhile, the Samurai Warriors cast, depending on the character, may have additional heavy attack chain follow-ups or a much longer normal string, with Samurai Musous playing out as a series of repeated attacks as the Musou button is held down. While the mashup of the Dynasty and Samurai Warrior series is kind of the main point of Warriors Orochi, our action figure toy box is not strictly limited to those casts either. Characters show up from all over to join in on the fun, including beings from folk tales and mythology like Tamamo no Mai, Shutendoji, and Sun Wukong, alongside other game crossovers like the entire playable cast of the Ninja Gaiden games, Bladestorm's Joan of Arc, or Sophitia from Soul Calibur. These characters adopt the Samurai Warriors Musou style if they themselves are Japanese or from Japanese folklore, like Susanoo, for example, but everyone else will use the more standard Dynasty Warriors style Musou, whether it's the Chinese goddess Nuwa or the ancient Greek Achilles. Each character is further differentiated by which of the 4 type categories they fall into, these being speed, power, technique, and wonder. Let's break these down. Speed type characters have access to a forward moving double jump air dash called an aerial thrust. They can also cancel any grounded attack animation with a jump and go right into an aerial thrust from there, allowing for instant access to air attacks, extended combos, and unmatched mobility. You literally do not have to stop with this type of character, and it's very fun. Before you ask, yes, Jotai is in the game, is a speed type, and can, in fact, get a little silly with it. Power type characters have hyper armor, and don't really react to any but the hardest hitting of enemy attacks, making them very difficult to interrupt once they get started. This one is my least favorite of the 4 due to the lack of additional tech to play around with, and they can be very annoying when they show up as enemies, but that doesn't mean characters with this typing aren't fun. There is undoubtedly a ton of appeal to imposing your will, getting your big dumb swing off, and sending fools flying no matter what they throw at you. Technique types have access to a step dodge that can be performed with the jump button while holding block. Attacking immediately after results in the character's running attack as opposed to the grounded basic combo starter. The dodge and instant running attack access is very cool for combos, footsies, and crowd control. Technique types also have a passive bonus to heavy attack damage on airborne opponents, making them well suited to extended juggle combos. I like technique type quite a bit, if you can't tell. And lastly, we have Wonder type characters who can spend a bit of their Musou gauge on a Spirit Charge by pressing jump while attacking, canceling the attack and propelling the character forward. The Spirit Charge is a dash attack that breaks guard, sets grounded enemies up for a higher damage follow-up, and can be used to extend combos on airborne enemies. The Spirit Charge is very powerful, and that's why it costs Musou, but with the right setups, you can abuse the heck out of this thing. A fun detail here is that while you have to make contact with an enemy or their guard to initiate the Spirit Charge, projectile attacks also count for this, so Speaking of builds and setups, characters can be customized with equipable weapons and items looted from enemies and found in the field. Weapons have rarities and visually tend to go from rather standard looking workhorse types to much more ornate pieces as you get better ones, on top of some fun joke weapon skins like baseball bats and ice cream cones. Each weapon has up to 8 slots to equip various effects like increases to attack speed or reach, elemental attack damage, buffs to certain types of attacks like Musous or aerial moves, on top of other skills that say restore health on hit or make buff and healing items more likely to spawn. You can customize and build weapons for characters focused on different styles of play like high combo counts, spamming metered specials, juggling officers to death, or just go for general survivability and getting better drops as you work your way through higher difficulty stages. This weapon crafting system really affords players a ton of freedom to experiment and carve out their own playstyle, and really make each individual character their own. Items are equipped separately from the weapons, and the default ones are mostly a helping hand in the form of some extra raw numbers, a health bar increase, higher attack damage or defense, you get it. These have a chance to level up the more you get them, so picking up items is still exciting to do long after you have them all, which is nice. There are, however, secret items in the game that are unlocked by fulfilling specific conditions on specific stages. I want to take the time to highlight a few of these in particular because they can go a long way in changing a character's playstyle or helping a specific build along. These items specifically are unlockable sauce, and I recommend looking them up and getting them as soon as you can. I'll link a rare item guide below. First, we have the Dragon's Eye. This item allows characters of any type to jump cancel heavy attacks. It's only heavy attacks, so it doesn't invalidate speed type characters, but it can give power characters some much needed maneuverability. It's also specifically great for any characters that want quick access to their air special mid-combo. Next up is the Heavenly Sash. This one is specifically for technique type officers and allows that same heavy attack cancel the Dragon's Eye does, but pressing jump with this thing on gives you the technique step dodge instead. This means a technique type character can cancel those heavy attack recovery frames for combos that otherwise wouldn't be possible, which can now include the running attack, or narrowly dodge incoming attacks after committing to a heavy of their own. I absolutely adore this item. These two specifically are my GOAT items, but there's tons of useful ones, like the Shadow Greaves, which cuts the Wonder type Shadow Sprint Muso cost in half, the Orb of Balance, which allows speed types to aerial thrust to escape juggles, or the Raiment of Unrest that adds a ton of iframes to the technique step dodge. I think it's a shame that some of these techier items are missable, and that's specifically why I took the time to highlight them. Warriors Orochi 3 already has some of the all-time best Muso combat with the different character types and tag combos. These extra items make it even better, and secret or not, I am so happy they were included. The actual character leveling is also insane, by the way. Experience is earned while defeating enemies and picking up EXP scrolls, with individual character levels being capped at 100. Orochi 3 Ultimate specifically, however, added promotions. These allow you to reset a character back to level 1 and begin earning upgrade stones, which provide permanent stat increases that carry over into the next promotion. A character can be promoted 9 times, making for an effective max level of 1000 per character. These promotions also unlock additional benefits like extra item slots and additional passives for the team, so they feel very meaningful outside of the number simply going up, which still feels very nice, let's be real. Shout out to the EXP Fever scroll that makes every enemy drop experience scrolls for a bit. Easily one of the greatest dopamine hits in all of video games. While a character gets EXP for putting in the work themselves, of course, they also earn growth points as well. This is a kind of bank experience that you can divvy out as you see fit amongst other characters, so you don't have to level everyone up manually. A really nice addition here is that characters earn an increase in growth points as a benefit of specific promotions, so even if you keep using a character after you max them out, it's not wasteful to stick with them if you still want to level other characters. You'll still be earning a bunch more growth points for everyone else as you keep having fun with your maxed out faves, which is an awesome consideration on Omega Force's part given the size of the roster. While there is a ton of content in story mode to chew through, with chaos difficulty there to provide an additional challenge, those super juiced level 1000 death machines you're crafting are best put to work in Gauntlet mode, which is Orochi 3 Ultimate's post-game. This is a kind of survival dungeon crawler mode, where the player takes 5 characters into a stage and searches for a randomized exit as the difficulty modifying miasma level rises, making things progressively tougher. Replacing the tag gameplay of the main mode are formations that see your characters grouping together or splitting up to search the map, with AI taking over the characters you're not currently piloting, though you can still swap on the fly. The camera can also be pulled back for Gauntlet mode, which makes for an almost isometric viewpoint, and these changes make for a pretty fun switch up from the main story. Gauntlet mode lives up to its name too. There's tons of stages, and the higher miasma levels see regular enemies buffed enough to be a legit threat to even maxed out characters. You can even get invaded by AI controlled versions of other players' teams online, and you just know other players always have the busted stuff. Defeated enemy officers in Gauntlet mode also have a chance to drop materials to craft that character's strongest weapon. There's exclusive items and weapon skill orbs you can unlock and take back into the main story mode, and like way too many challenges to grind away at on top of that. When you add all this together, you get a really engaging side mode with as much, if not more, content than the main game if it's fully explored. Orochi 3 also sports a level editor called Muso Battlefields that allows you to take existing story stages and swap out officers, what they say, what kind of soldiers are present, and so on. These edited levels can then be uploaded for other players to try online. To be honest, I've never personally been into this kind of player-created content, but I have seen some pretty cool levels folks have uploaded. Stuff like extra hard challenge maps and things like that. Again, not for me, but I'm happy it's here for the people who want it as a nice bonus. There's also a fighting game in here, and that very much is for me. No, I'm serious. Warriors Orochi 3 Ultimate has a 3v3 tag arena fighter mode. It's local only, but there's a nice selection of stages, and the gameplay is spiced up with strategy cards. Each player picks 4 of these, and they do dumb stuff like rain meteors on the arena or push the fighters apart. You can knock each other into stage hazards on some of the levels, and in general, this mode is nonsense in the best way. Get everything unlocked, and you got a solid local party game here. I've always said more games should have stupid throwaway versus modes, and I really do love that this is here. Just saying, the tournaments for Warriors Orochi 3 Ultimate duel mode would go absolutely crazy if anyone was willing to brave the probably nightmarish logistics needed to get a bracket going. Visually, Warriors Orochi 3 takes cues from the main Muso entries of its day, with Dynasty Warriors 7 and Samurai Warriors 3 providing the default looks for most of the cast. Additional costumes are unlocked from past entries with individual character use as well, so even if you're not a huge fan of, say, Sun Quan's DW7 look, you can switch to his objectively perfect DW5 fit instead once you unlock it. Character and costume design has always been an overlooked strength of these games, in my opinion, and having access to so many looks for these characters really highlights and celebrates this in exactly the way a fan service crossover should. The more grounded designs of the PS2 entries contrast nicely with the more fantasy-inspired direction these games took post-DW6, and it makes for a ton of visual variety. There's even a color edit mode to play around with. The Definitive Edition includes a ton of DLC costumes as well, which is good because I love Kagi's cute witch outfit, and Frankenstein's monster Ding Fong is my best friend. As it was made in DW7's engine, Warriors Orochi 3 carries with it the specific look of this era of Muso games. Dynasty Warriors 8 and especially Samurai Warriors 4 would go on to have much more vibrant and softer looks to their art direction, but DW7 and Samurai Warriors 3Z in particular have a distinctly muted color palette, giving them a more somber vibe when compared to the games surrounding them. On top of this, the metal on weapons and even character skin has a shine to it not present in other Muso games that gives everything an air of artificiality. This might sound like a negative, but I actually really enjoy the look of the DW7 engine because it is so distinct. It may not have the highest poly count or brightest colors when compared to other games that came after, but this kind of plastic look I think really works for the material and further contributes, if unintentionally, to that playing with action figures vibe as a whole. I would also be a hack fraud, garbage, trash tier, poo-poo writer if I didn't talk about the music at least a little bit in a Warriors Orochi video. Muso games have always had some of the best OSTs in gaming, full stop, and a mashup of Muso games means the soundtrack will go hard by default. The vibes are actually quite different between the two series as well. Dynasty Warriors has always had a predominantly guitar-driven power metal sound to its OST, which rules. Samurai Warriors, on the other hand, has more techno-rock arrangements with heavy use of traditional Japanese instrumentation. This also rules. You get a ton of tracks from both series libraries here. Some new characters for the Orochi games get their own themes that also bang, shout out to Benkei's theme, and crossover characters bring remixes of music from their respective games as well. You know, I might not get another chance to say this for a while, but Dead or Alive? Really good music. That series straight up does not get the flowers it deserves in that area. Like, listen to Kasumi's theme here. One of my favorite features in Orochi 3 is the ability to choose music tracks at the start of a level, so you're not just stuck with a default theme. This is a godsend for the Gauntlet mode grind. Warriors Orochi 3 Ultimate Definitive Edition is the complete package. It makes good on the crossover action figure smashing promise with a massive roster, and brings them together in a story that's way more compelling than it probably has any right to be. Between its extensive character building and fun gameplay mechanics, this is easily one of the most expressive games in the wider Musou series as a whole, and with the different modes and higher difficulties on offer, it will be a very long time before most players run out of stuff to do. You can even play the story in split-screen co-op. If not for Dynasty Warriors 8 XL, this would be my favorite Musou. Orochi 3 Ultimate is only behind that one for me by like a nose though, and easily occupies that elite highest tier of Musou games. I really love this one, and I wouldn't blame anyone that holds it up as their #1 Warriors title. It really is that good. If you're a fan of these types of games, curious about the Warriors series and want a good place to start, or are simply looking for a good hack and slash game with a mountain of content to chew through, this one's a no-brainer, and I really can't recommend it highly enough. The only thing left to do now is throw that toy box open and find some favorites, because it's always a good time to smash some action figures together, and that means it's always a good time to play some Warriors Orochi 3 Ultimate. Hello, I am Frankenstein's monster Ding Fong. You should be swift like the wind and subscribe to my best friend the Shelfables YouTube channel, where you can enjoy more great videos like this one. I, Frankenstein's monster Ding Fong, would like to thank you for watching this video, and hope you have a good rest of your day. Goodbye.